Good morning.
Christopher, are you hosting today?
I
Good morning.
am.
You're doing the hosting today?
I am.
Okay, great. Will you do me? Yes. Will you do me a favor? I'm happy to be a co-host and spotlight people, so you can do the talking, and then maybe when someone's talking, we can see like the two people. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay. But if not, it's not
Unfortunately,
a big deal. It's just Brenda liked it. She's like, oh, that's, just because it goes on the video too. So people, instead of seeing the big group, they see, say,
yes.
Mindy and Wendy talking to each other. So.
And under most circumstances, we'd be able to do that without a problem. However, this meeting does not have a quote unquote technical host. So we are all equal. There's no one who can spotlight. So we can't spotlight, we cannot share the screen, but we can connect, we can communicate.
Good morning, Christopher.
Good morning,
Always great to
Mindy.
hear you. Always great to hear your lovely voice.
Well, thank you.
You make me smile in the morning.
Wow. And you all do the same.
Thank you.
This is a fun, it's a fun Friday cap to the end of the week. I mean, the
I
other
like
days
that.
are going to do what they do, but hey, Friday features the VIP call.
I like that. Let's see what I have here. Do you know, Christopher, is there a topic for today or is just free flowing?
It is free flowing. Now, here are the fun constraints that we will be working with. So we can answer any question at all. But since we cannot share the screen, we will have to talk people through the solution verbally.
That's fine.
It helps, it's like, all right, how would I talk someone through doing this?
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
it
fine.
helps.
We don't have to focus on, LinkedIn profiles would be very difficult to do, but we could talk about a wide array of topics.
Absolutely. And I mean,
Motivation, all these different things that job seekers need, strategies, whatever.
absolutely. I mean, and certain things, hey, we can talk those through pretty easily, like adding a pronunciation to your LinkedIn profile. All right, we can do that fairly easily. What's wrong with this profile? Well, that's going to be a little bit tougher.
For next time. That'll be for next time. That's fine. That's fine. I had I have a monthly accelerator call. It's always on the first Wednesday of the month. And so this past month, we did alumni from the accelerators. And we offered to them to have an opportunity to speak to job seekers, current job seekers. So our alumni are those who were part of the group in 2020 when we started and have since gotten jobs. Some of them are still in those jobs and some of them are back looking, but whatever the case may be, they came back to give some words of wisdom to the current job seekers. And we got into this whole thing about, what motivates you? Some of these people had 2-year job searches. That's a long time to stay motivated. So, that topic in itself is great and amazing. And, we got a lot of good feedback. So, I'm just saying, you don't need to share screens to have really great information and make an impact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is, let's see. Hey, we still have a couple minutes.
We do.
While people gather. All right. So as you gather, you may have noticed I am not Brenda.
This gave it away.
Just this? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, she does have, better hair.
No, it's the big microphone in front of her. That's what we're
Well,
missing.
you know, we work with what we have. I aspire to the big microphone one day. We'll see.
And yet Christopher doesn't need a microphone because he's got the best radio voice that I've ever heard. So he should have been on radio at some point. I don't know if you ever were, but maybe that was in your background because it's just a fabulous voice that everyone likes to listen to.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I have been on radio.
I know it. I
WPHM
figured.
in Port Huron. And, well, all right. I will share a success.
Okay.
I am now one of the fill-in folk for the public radio station in my area. So I'll be back on the air.
Wow. That's where you belong for sure. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Radio is a really fun medium.
Absolutely. Let me give you my reactions to all of that. I'm clapping. How did she do that? She put multiple reactions. Usually you can only do one at a time. I thought Joan did multiple reactions.
So you can do that in the chat because you can type any, you know, as many emojis as you want.
Oh, as an emoji. Gotcha. I got you now. Oh, Joan's on his cell, that's why. I got it.
All righty. So it is officially 10 o'clock. Well, all right. It's 10:01. So now the shenanigans, or not the shenanigans, because no, this is a very staid and stoic and somber Friday affair. And very serious. This call is being recorded so that Brenda will be able to replay and see the seriousness that we tackle LinkedIn and connection and VIPness. VIP.
That didn't sound good.
That did not.
Let's redo that.
As we tackle this, as we embrace this VIP environment.
And it's recorded for posterity too.
Absolutely. All right. So to start us off, the usual routine, place your information in the chat, introduce yourself, make a connection, plan on contacting and reaching out to and being connected with one another. And more than just a connection, personalize that invite so that you have a history that you can go back to, that you can refer to. Oh, we met at Brenda's VIP session. That, you know, the personalized message, I really love that feature because it does tell you exactly when you connected and why. And it's a great way to jog the memory when you go forward, when you reach out again, so that next time you reach out, you have something to refer back to. It strengthens the connection. And as you introduce yourself in chat, you don't have to put your name on there because, well, Zoom already does that for you. You should include your geographic region, the type of position that you're looking for, the industry, and your LinkedIn URL. And your LinkedIn URL should be clickable so that someone in this call can click on that, go to your profile, initiate the direct connection, and things will flow from there. Okay, sit up and act straight. Just you know, act natural.
Did someone just send you that message?
No.
Oh.
I just saw that Brenda joined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think she joined probably to co-host, but not co-host.
Yes. And let's see. Absolutely. So yes, uh, Brenda, we're kind of sort of
You get
behaving
your
as
copy out of
best we
my.
can. All
She
right,
might
so
be in the
Cheryl was
continue
car.
red
to.
light, so I don't know what you're waiting for.
Ah, she's in the car.
That's dedication.
Road trip shenanigans. I like it. Now, one of the fun things about a road trip is, who's in charge of the music.
Are we having music today?
Well, no, but on a road trip, there's usually some
Ah.
person in charge of the radio and other people who are punished or encouraged or yeah, something, depending on the music selection. So Lewis, if your offer still stands, then we can go ahead and get that done.
Yes, but she has to make me the co-host so I can spotlight. Brenda, if you can hear that, if you can make me the co-host, I can spotlight people.
Well, actually, I just did.
Okay, great. Then I can do that stuff. I'll
Wonderful.
be happy to.
All right. And we can share the screen. So hey, we are unencumbered. Well, we were never encumbered. So if there is a question that you would like addressed about LinkedIn, about job search, we have people to help you facilitate answers and grow and connect. So let's go. And in addition to Lewis behind the virtual stage, other members of the team include Mindy. So Mindy, would you introduce yourself and how you can help job seekers?
Sure. Thanks, Christopher. Of course. I love coming to this call every Friday. I help job seekers with lots of things. I have been working with jobs. Thank you for the spotlight. Appreciate it. Let me see. Oh, my earrings look there. Good. Okay. I have been working with job seekers for many, many years. My background is in human resources. I was director of human resources for many years at a bank in New York City. When I left there, I started my own company, and I have been doing both HR consulting and career help for people who are job seekers. So with that, I can help you fix your resume. I can create great, powerful interview preparation. We do all the time. We talk a lot about networking. I do a ton of coaching with people to really help them, number one, stay motivated. Number two, understand what the strategy should be for an effective job search, because there are good ways to do a job search and really ineffective ways to do a job search. So one of the most effective ways is to network, network, network. And so everyone who's on this call is already a step ahead of everyone who's not on the call. So I appreciate all of you for understanding that. If you are interested, I do host a private group on LinkedIn called the Accelerators. If you are not yet a member of Accelerators, just DM me or let me know, and I'm happy to invite you. That is strictly for job seekers, and we post almost I would say daily, many job openings on that Accelerator group. And we also host a monthly Zoom event where we have different speakers come. And I will tell you, I'm happy to share with you that Brenda Meller will be our guest presenter in September. So yay, you should all join in. We're going to have a great presentation. September 7th is the date. We always, we meet from 11 to 12 Eastern. So the link is currently on my, my company page. And you can grab that. I put it into the chat also. Love to see you there, and definitely join accelerators. There's lots of great opportunities out there. Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you, Mindy. And you stand ready to aid with the answers that people are seeking today.
Of course, whenever I
Wonderful.
can.
Thank you very much. And also, Sue Griffey. Sue, are you ready to introduce yourself, or do you need a moment? I'm not seeing you on camera, so we'll give Sue a moment. In the meantime, captions have been enabled, so if that would make the experience of this meeting better for you, so you can identify those words, phrases, and capture them so you could use them later, turn them into a post, turn them into something that you want to mention. Captions are enabled. You can turn them on for yourself. If you look for the CC, which should be about right here, and view transcript. Additionally, you can also save the transcript. And today's questions, do we have any questions coming in yet?
No.
Okay. Thanks, Lewis. How about success stories? If you have a success story that you'd like to share to encourage the rest of us to get the kudos and get the celebrations, share the word success in the chat and be ready to tell us about it. If you do have a question, put the word question followed by your question in chat so that it can be captured and addressed. So this is the first Friday of the month. So thus far, we have survived 7 months of 2022.
That's true.
That is true. All right. Well,
LaShawn has a success to share if she is willing now.
yes.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. My success story is I start my new job in September, back in the financial arena. I just say stay persistent, which I did. I'm going to be honest with a lot of you. A lot of the interviews I had was from Indeed. And there was kind of like a slight twist to the offer because it was advertised in one location, but they hadn't really made a deal on the real estate of where it actually was. And it would have been a 5-hour commute a day for me. And so I was, talking over with some of my key friends, and I said, who knows when I'm going to get another opportunity? It's a growing company. It's opportunity for growth. And I remember, a close friend of mine was like, that 5-hour commute's going to kill you. And I'm like, I know, I've done it before. And as I was turning down the position, and I said, that's on a good day, I'm going to be able to make it in on time, and I'm going to be one of the leads within the division. They made an option to, I should say the financial consultant I'm working with made an option to cover my lodging for 2 months while I relocate. And that was a hard deal. I still had to think about it, but it was an option that I took him up on his offer, very generous offer. And they gave me my offer letter. I signed off. So September, first week, I will be starting my new position.
Well,
Wow.
congratulations.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
Amazing.
Hard decision. I like I said, I was ready to turn it down. I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this commute. But then again, I was like, when will I get another opportunity like this? So I was on the edge of accepting it. But when they made that generous offer, the financial consultant, I said, I'm going to take you up on it. Let's get this ball rolling. So yes, thank you.
That's amazing. That's amazing, LaShawn. Can I add to that for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, so I want you all to realize that just because the job posting says something, it doesn't mean that you cannot negotiate with them about something else. I'm going to give you an excellent example of this. I am currently coaching a young lady who is looking for a new role. She lives in a DC area, and the job posting said must be in the Miami area. It was a perfect role for her. It is a perfect role for her. And they offered her the interview because her resume is beautiful and she's a very good fit for them. She went through the interview process and she said to me, how can I talk to them? Because I don't want to leave this DC area. I'm very happy here. I have my kids in school, et cetera, et cetera. I said, well, it doesn't hurt to ask if this job could possibly be done remotely. See what they say. And she said, yeah, I've done, she said, how would I position it? I said, well, what are you doing currently? And she said she's been doing her role, which is a very similar role, successfully remotely for over 2.5 years. So I said, see what they say. And sure enough, she went through the interview. They love her. And she asked a question about remote. And they said it wasn't intended to be a remote role, but let's see what we can do. So the door is open. It's a possibility for her. And had she not asked, she wouldn't know. And had she not applied because it said must be located in Miami, she certainly wouldn't know. So I'm just telling you to keep your options open because today employers are really looking for quality candidates. And if you are that candidate, sometimes they can make some adjustments. Just my 2 cents.
Thanks, Mindy. That is valuable information. And yeah, getting in the door allows you to ask those questions to see where things can be worked out, what the negotiation process is. And, LaShawn, did networking play into this at all? I mean, did you find this through Indeed or networks after Indeed, or a little bit more about that, if you please?
Sure. No, it was a posting on Indeed. I applied for it. They probably got back to me probably about like 2 or 3 weeks later. And they did like a pre-screening, like 2 weeks, and they're actually based in Oregon. And so they saw that I had worked with the firm Merrill Lynch. And they like to hire people that have experience because they're growing. It's a different kind of setup. So they thought I would be an asset. So after the first pre-screening, I had, that 1 hour 3-on-1 interview. They were great. I asked some key questions. I made sure I had great questions to kind of get a scope of what their working environment is like. So like one of my key questions is, how long, of course, you work at the firm, what you love about it, and give me one word that describes the corporate culture. And they love that question alone. Family oriented, camaraderie, and, I think one of the questions they want you, like you said, to be able to be flexible. And because they're growing, they were like, well, the first 3 months is probably going to be past 9 to 5. Do you have a problem with repetition? And I said, absolutely not. They were like, well, you come from a well-oiled machine. We're still growing. I said, well, you already missed that boat. I've already worked with the firm and I'm able to adjust and always looking to improve and would love to be a contributing factor to your firm. So I'm sure I can learn from you as well as you can learn from me. And they ran with that, but there was no connections, just me being persistent, of course, catering the resume to the actual application, what they're looking for. So like that job scan platform, very useful, especially now that they've altered it in a manner in which, it coincides with what the description is asking for. If your resume doesn't have it, it's not going to get picked up. And that took me a little while to kind of learn that curve, to really adjust. So I think utilizing that tool to cater it allowed the algorithms to pick up on my resume and push my application forward. But it was a direct shot. And again, like I said, a lot of the I think on Indeed for me, not that it's a bad platform, but a lot of the offers I had, it was either recruiters contacting me to meet a quota, Hey, I have a great opportunity, send me, send me your contact information. I'm thinking, okay, my contact information's on my profile, but great. Okay, fine. I'll send it. And then, I had someone say, what's the time? I'll say tomorrow morning at this time. And I would never hear from them. I think most recently, because, I'm always, keeping my eye out for better opportunities as well. So once in a while I get I had a recent interview with Morgan Stanley, kind of a pre-screening from LinkedIn. And they should, recruiter just noticed my resume, but I don't think it was a perfect match for what they were looking for. So I think that's even a better sign for me that the option that I've chosen, was the better option for me, especially with the growth opportunity.
Okay. Very good to know. And again, congratulations. And as you get into this new role, make sure that you update your LinkedIn profile. And if when you update your profile is completely up to you, but you'll want to make sure that you time it so that the update matches. It doesn't have to match the start date of the actual job, but they're in the same month. So if you
Right.
start in September and you update your profile in September, then hey, you can have that acknowledged and celebrated by all your contacts. You can engage with the company. If they have a social media presence, you can say, hey, I'm excited to join this company and I'll be working with a great team on projects or something like that. It enhances their profile, which enhances your profile. And it's a wonderful,
absolutely.
virtuous circle.
I'd be
Absolutely.
curious.
I will take on and make sure I adjust accordingly. Thank you so much for the congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be
And Louis?
curious if Mindy could just add to how after you get quote unquote hired, sign the papers, when do you think you should post it to LinkedIn that you got that new job? Because that's a huge debate. When do I post it? When do I post it? Do you have any comments on that, Mindy?
I always err on the side of caution. I would not post it the day oh, thank you. I would not post it the day I got the offer letter, but rather the day, maybe the week after you walk in the door. Literally, maybe figuratively walk in the door. But you have to me, it's start the job. I've seen a lot of jobs fall apart before they walk in the door, and then it just becomes annoying and embarrassing to have to fix a profile again. So I would just wait a bit. And within, like Christopher mentioned, within the first month, I think is fine. And then everyone can congratulate you. And then you'll feel really comfortable also. I also know a lot of people who take jobs and their companies want it quiet for a little while. They're not ready to promote it. And so having a little conversation with HR about when they would like to promote that, you should be in sync with that. I will also mention, if we're talking about that, there are some people who use like a company logo in their background. So make sure that it's been approved, that you're not using a logo that they don't want you to use. It might be an old logo that you pulled from the internet. If that's what you want to do, and I'm not saying that that's what you should do, I've just seen a lot of these where it's not necessarily appropriate. And I've seen, as a matter of fact, I'm working with a president of a company, a small company, who has maybe there's 30 employees in the company right now. And every single one of them has a different background logo of what they think their company logo is. And so they don't have a big marketing department. It's a very small company. And so what I suggested is you guys got to come together, go to Canva and create a logo, create a background, something that you can all be, promoting the same company, if that's what your choice is to do that. So just, work with the new team. It's a great way to get involved with the new team and show that you are going to be a team player and you don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the brand.
Absolutely. And hey, that's a great opportunity to ask, hey, is there an approved graphic from the marketing department? Is there an approved background? Some companies they do have a large enough marketing department that they have backgrounds that they would encourage their employees to use on LinkedIn. So,
Chris, I think Wendy had her hand up. I'm not sure.
all right, yes. Then do you still have a question, Wendy?
If not, Joan does.
All
Joan
right. And Joan, how can we help you today?
Okay, whoops. I'll come off camera.
There
Thank
you
you. I'll
are.
put the hand down in just a second. So my question is along what you just said, and Wendy and Lewis, you all added to that. One of the reasons, and you're right, it is debatable that people talking about when you should post that new opportunity, is because there's a train of thought, and this probably doesn't apply to LaShawn because she did her homework and she's looked like she's going in a good space, but sometimes no matter how much homework you do, you get in there and the culture and people do, it's a bait and switch and it's toxic. And so there's some people that are coaches out there, either career coaches, leadership coaches, and coach people that say, I recommend 2 or 3 months because just in case, that way, if you have to take it off, you don't have that question in your next interview. Well, because it's going to come up, why did you leave? And they may not ask it like that, but they have a way to, when I say they, that hiring manager or recruiter has a way of asking that. So I just would like to hear any thoughts. I mean, I know I heard the thoughts here, but any thoughts on that reason, and that it may not be what you want, what you expected, no matter, so that's really was the question. And that was before, like I said, when Mindy and others gave their comments.
And yet there's no wrong answer. I mean, sometimes people wait until they've received a couple of paychecks or have passed the probationary period or whatever other milestone is meaningful for them. There's no wrong answer. When you post it, if you post it, it's entirely up to you. And if you want to work with the company on that, that's fine. What their guidelines are. Some people, some companies, they really don't want their employees active on social media for whatever reason. Whatever the company policy is, okay, yeah, that's what should be adhered. So your personal comfort in when you post it, if you post it, is completely up to you. And, just make sure you're working with or following the guidelines of the company.
Sue, you had a good comment. Do you want to expand on it or say anything? I read it.
Were you calling on me? I didn't hear the first part of it.
Yeah, no, I said you had a good comment about
Oh.
that. If you wanted to just, somebody might have missed it in the
Thanks.
section.
Because this actually happened to me well after I've been giving students and new professionals advice about how to use a 3-circle approach to make sure you inform your network before someone puts on LinkedIn, oh, I just got a job. And I'm thinking, when it happened a couple months ago, like, oh, we just stopped working together just before you got it. And I didn't even know till it was on LinkedIn. I think it's really important to remember what Mindy said, check, especially the more senior you get, check with the people hiring you and HR about how they want to announce it, because a lot of times they don't let a client know that there's going to be a new person taking over a portfolio or a project. Yeah, Valerie's nodding, Mindy's young, Lewis, everybody knows and has seen this happen, not the best way. But also remember to take the time to thank the people that have helped you. Not every single person, and it's fine. I love the notes I get on LinkedIn when a little bit of help helps people, but some people put a lot of time and effort into meeting with you, introducing you to someone. It doesn't hurt at all. And that's what I call a seminal networking opportunity. You can reach out to someone with great news. You're not asking them for anything. But if you look at the bank account or the scales of who's given the most chips and who received the most chips, you've got a lot more chips to collect out there when you need them. So again, think about your network of who to inform first. It doesn't have to be an individual message to everybody. My second circle of connections are people who recognize my name. Like when John Limon was on the LinkedIn Live with Christopher and made some great comments. I know John from here. Haven't helped him directly, but I loved what he said and he thought it was useful, for example. And then put it on LinkedIn. And that gives you the space Mindy described. I love that, Mindy. I love the actual recipe. Wait at least a week after you walk in the door, either literally or on Zoom. So thanks for the chance, Louis, to talk about that more. Oops, wrong one.
That's fine. Thank you. We all learn when we share and communicate. So is there another question that we can address, we can tackle, we can investigate? Or another success story?
Well, I'll ask the question with this. This is interesting. So I've seen, and then I see Sue has her hand up. So my question is, I applied for a few jobs and I've had two where you just don't know who exactly is the actual source. Is it a recruiting firm that's getting it or what have you? So after I've applied for it, because it's good positions, maybe it's through Indeed, maybe it's directly through a site. It's been great, but they'll automatically reach out by text and sometimes by email, and then they start bugging you. And in the sense of, you'll text them back and say, yes, I'm very interested, but I cannot interview today or cannot interview at those times. And after kind of going through it, I'm like, you're being so pushy. Why would I want to work for you? Usually places are a little pushy and they work and then you interview, but also the messages they're sending are kind of cryptic. I'm like, well, I'd like you to meet the team. And I got in, I scheduled one. I got in on what I thought was going to be a Zoom call. They popped me in for like 2 seconds. I could see it was about 10 people. So it was almost like, oh, is it one of those where you're sitting in front of you're like a panel, there's a whole bunch of us and we're listening. So I'm just curious from the experts. I pretty much want to write these two jobs off because I don't like their approach. And I've started reading. I don't think it's worth it because it just doesn't seem right. The feel on how they're dealing with their recruiting and wanting to hire you. And I don't know if anybody else has had that experience, but it doesn't feel right.
Hey, Louis, go with your gut.
Okay.
If it doesn't feel right at the beginning, it's going to feel less right in the middle, for sure. Seriously, it's very, very hard to capture a culture of a company. Very hard in an interview. Those interviewers are supposed to be on their, very best behavior when they're speaking to you. If you're finding someone who is behaving in a way that doesn't feel right to you, whatever that might be, too pushy, not responsive enough, there's a million things that a recruiter could share with you about themselves. Now, it's not always a reflection on the company. Sometimes it's a reflection on the recruiter, right? I am a HR professional, right? And I hired a recruiter to work for me. Luckily, he worked in the office next to me. And I started hearing him on the phone. He was very, in the interview, very professional and just super talented. And I got great recommendations from his former company, et cetera, et cetera. But I could hear him on the phone and he was so abrasive to the people he was speaking to. And I spoke to him one day and I said, what's going on? He says, oh, I don't have any patience for these people. They don't ever listen to your directions. Okay, so I can't have him representing my company, right? And it was only because I could overhear him. And then, of course, one day he fell asleep on the job. So he was not long for the job. But what I'm saying is he was not a good reflection of my company. And so sometimes it's just the recruiter themselves. But if you're seeing a lot of red flags, then just stay away because it's not going to be a good fit for you, long term. And you're not looking to repeat this process over and over again. You'd like to find a home where you can stay for a period of time. Am I correct?
Yes, and like I said, you have to decide, but it's just I've not seen. It's usually one you get and you blow them off, but this is two going at the same time, two different jobs, companies, and it's partly not my fault, but partly because of when I see a job on Glassdoor, Indeed, or whatever, you don't 100% know exactly where it's going, but you read it and it sounds really good. So my assumptions are it went through a recruiting, some kind of firm who then has a tie to it, and this is the way to handle things. Or as someone else says, it's a scam. It's one of those like marketing-ish kind of things that just doesn't seem right. But they're making it out to be this great thing for you. So I can't disagree with you at all.
And Mindy, I liked your initial response of go with your gut. If it's telling you there's a problem, then there's probably a problem. And Sue, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I want the wisdom of all of you because I know we've talked about this in previous VIP meetings. I work mostly with a global professionals audience, people that are outside the US or people that are working for companies that work outside the US. Now, some of those companies are headquartered here in the US, so they seem to be now, what came up this week was probably the fourth time a mentee has said, they asked me for an interview, and when they sent me the link, it turned out I'm calling it a one-way interview. It was an AI mediated, so it was video, it wasn't phone, but it was like interactive voice response. You know, they put the question on the screen and she has 5 takes to record her message. It seems to be coming more and more, not surprisingly. Everybody's trying to do more with less money or more with the same money and get to the personnel they need. But it also reminded me that we've had discussions here, and I think on LinkedIn, but I know other people have talked about practice sites, but I'm interested in especially resources for these one-way things where you aren't talking to any kind of face. They're just going to listen to you later. It's not real time. So just thought, oh, you're asking about questions? I have a problem. Can you help me find that? Thanks.
Well, Zoom is a great resource for that. So if you have your own account, and everyone should have their own individual Zoom account, you can record yourself for 40 minutes, and that is free. So as many takes as you want, fine. And that's 40 minutes at a time. You need more time, make another meeting. Practice answering the questions that you think will be asked. Practice creating and crafting your story to match the answer, to showcase what you want to showcase. So in addition to Zoom, I'm sure there are, I believe you can do the same thing with Teams, but I don't work with Teams as much.
I think what was sort of leaning towards is, are there sites where you can practice timed answers so she doesn't have to set her own timer? You know, I talked to her about Zoom, but it's even when you're doing it on Zoom, you sort of know it's yours as opposed to even a practice site. I was just wondering if anybody had one. I thought we've discussed this before. I felt like that LinkedIn has something and some other external site that there was a way to practice. So if anybody thinks anything, if you could drop it in the chat, that'd be great.
Yes, please do.
I don't know, so the answer to your question, if there is a practice site, but I do, I like what Christopher said about using Zoom because you can record that. But one thing I would add to that is you may think that you're giving fantastic answers to these questions that are coming up, but unless you get someone who's a little bit more objective than you are about your own version of the story, it's very hard to critique yourself because you keep saying the same thing over and over again. And the more you repeat something that's not great, the more it gets ingrained in your brain. So I would recommend, if they do use this the Zoom technology, record it and then send it to someone who's unbiased, who can give an objective point of view of what perhaps they could improve in their scenario. That's the only thing I would add.
And that's a good reminder. I did say to her, find not family, not friend, unless the friend is also sort of a mentor or colleague. Find someone who will go on Zoom with you, blank their screen, no name, and put up the questions for you and answer that so that they can hear it and give you feedback at the end. So thank you, Mindy, for reminding me about that. But I think that's really an important point you made, that we don't know how bad we really sound when we think we sound okay. And I'm the first to raise my hand.
Exactly. You know, I hear it all the time. How was your interview? It went great, but I never heard back from them. Okay, so what about it was great if you never heard back, right? So they could send it to you also, Sue. You know, if you're their mentor, then maybe they could send it to you. You can give them a couple of pointers. And you don't have to sit on the phone with them. Let them send you the recording at your leisure. You can take a look at it and say, hey, you know what? Everything's great, but it'd be great if you could have some eye contact too. Looking down at your notes is not helpful. You know what I'm saying? Just an example.
Exactly. And Sue, you did remind me with the update of your question. There are apps that you can use in Zoom to time your answer. So there's a timer and you can set that up in Zoom. It's still free and it will show you how much time has elapsed. So you can set it, hey, I want to give a 2-minute answer. You can set it for 2 minutes.
I love that. Every time I look at all the apps in Zoom, I think, oh, I don't need those, but now I do.
So yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is a free timer app available, and you can either have it, you can display it off to the side so only you see it, or you can have it displayed on your video so that everyone can see, wherever was going to make you the most comfortable in practicing the answer to your questions. And Brad, I see your hand up.
Didn't want to click off the unmute, but anyway, just kind of typically when you hear about a success story, when you've kind of networked into a job, you see a job listed at a company and you find somebody in your network to talk to about it, it's about getting that interview. I've recently had 2 situations where I saw jobs listed and reached out to former colleagues of mine who worked at the company. And in both cases decided, no, I didn't want to apply for the jobs. In one case, the person told me the reason it's open is because the person who was in the role was completely burnt out by it. And the other one, it was a little more detail into what the specifics were of the job, which just was not interesting to me. So, you know, it's always great to get inside information, no matter whether it's going to lead to something positive or convince you that, no, it's not the right role for you. On the other hand, I spoke to a former colleague yesterday about a job at another company, and I'm in the process of applying for that one, with her being the person recommending me. Plus, she spoke to one of her colleagues who works in my area, and I'm going to be talking to that person. It's just networking to get everything possible out of networking is what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah, it always comes down to networking because, hey, we need a network and we have to nurture our network. So if we only call when we need something, well, that's not really a network. As has been expressed before, send a note to share, hey, good news, to share something else, to just be a full human with another person. Hey, I saw that you did this. I'm checking in to see how things are going.
Also, if I see news about a company where I know people working, I will frequently just send a message saying, hey, I saw this happen. That's pretty cool. Or, you know, is this, if it's something more negative, you know, hope this isn't impacting you. Just keep the conversations going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do we have any
Retha has
other?
Retha has a question if she's willing to come up.
Then yes, what is the question, Retha?
Hers was on networking.
Okay. All right. You know, stealth mode is not just for LinkedIn searches.
Valerie has a nice comment over here that might be of interest to people.
Sure.
There's She has, I don't know, Valerie, do you want to mention this? Do you want to?
Sure, sure, thank you. So I'm on unemployment in Massachusetts. We have Mass Hire, and it's used as sort of a requirement. Obviously, unemployment, you have to do 3 job searches a week to receive your unemployment when you apply for it on Sundays. So they did say that your classes are part of that. So I've been taking the career job seekers classes offered by the career centers throughout Massachusetts online Zoom. And there's one class that I take every single week is interviewing practice. And it may be like a repeat or like she's already talked about that, but it's a way for me to work on my interviewing skills. And it's free.
That's great. Free is great. We love free.
Absolutely. And practice makes progress.
Yes, exactly. I have progressed. I have gone, I don't feel so stressed and nervous about it. And my counters and ums or my fillers are not as there. I just did one now, but I also feel like I learned from the questions that she asked. You know, the questions are like behavioral or, behavioral and think on your feet kind of question. She asked me yesterday, because it's either a Wednesday or a Thursday morning at 10 for 1 hour. And there's 8 people there and they critique you and they pretty much tell you what they think of how you answer that question or what they did like or what they didn't like. So it's eye-opening because you don't realize it when you're saying it. So it's good to hear that. It helps me.
Absolutely. And there used to be a couple of interview clubs where people would do those same things. They would practice answering questions and get feedback on the answers. And has been mentioned in the chat, Toastmasters is a great resource for mitigating those ums, ers, ahs, those filler words.
Yes.
And so Rita asked a really good question, and I'd like our experts to weigh in on the response. And the question is, when networking, should we be reaching out to connect with people in our field or recruiters?
I'm
So,
happy to respond to that, Rita. Is Rita here? Is she with us?
she is.
Is,
but
I
she
think
can-
she might not want to be on camera. So
Oh,
we,
okay.
we forgot to do that disclaimer, but yeah.
That's possible. Okay, so you network with everybody. Networking can't hurt. And networking is not asking people for help. Networking is seeing what you can provide to the other person. I always like to go in with, here's what I can offer you. Here's what we have in common. Let's find some shared connections. What can we do together to help you get further? It's always best when you are available to network and talk to anyone. You should be networking with recruiters in your desired area. Absolutely. You should be connecting with people in your, Brenda just said, your targeted job title. You should be networking with people that you see in the grocery store. You should be networking with everyone. There's a famous saying, if you're not networking, you're not working. You always have to be networking all the time, always building up connections, and you have to always be planting seeds and watering them and letting them grow so that you have this support system when you need it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. And, part of the value of networking is it helps people know what you do. So they may not be the person to hire you. They may not be the person who's going to get you that next job, but they know somebody. Oh, I'm looking for somebody who does LinkedIn training. Well, yeah, okay, I know exactly who I should send them to. Keeping yourself top of mind in other people's mind is a great thing. It's part of the networking process. There was Brenda's VIP LinkedIn Live on Tuesday this week. She talked to Billy, and I'm blanking on Billy's last name, but he talked about being felt and found. And it was a really great interview. I would encourage you to look for it. This one was on Meller marketing page. So go to the Meller marketing page. You should already be following it,
Well,
and look under videos and watch that interview from this week.
Brenda just posted her master class, so I'll put the plug in. It's in the chat for her master class on specifically the networking. Wink, wink.
And a reminder to download the chat and save it so that you can avail yourself of the resources that have been placed there. Questions, success. And yes, it is also in, gee, what would be the name of a LinkedIn strategy book? Social Media Pie. And here's a, all right, I'm an audio guy. If you get the audio version, Brenda reads it to you.
It's Billy Thompson, she says.
Billy Thompson, yes.
Billye, but it's
Correct.
a Y-E Thompson.
And it was a great interview. So I would encourage you to listen to it, watch it. And when you watch it on replay, leave a comment. If you watch it on YouTube, well, a bonus, because as Brenda grows her YouTube channel, it's a bonus.
Can I make one comment on what LinkedIn does now when you attend a LinkedIn Live?
Yes, please.
Hey, so I just learned this from one of my LinkedIn experts, that some people don't want your current employer or your contractor, whatever, to know that you are attending it. If you accept to attend on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn Live, it will be in your highlights. You cannot see that, but everyone else can. So just warning, that if you really want to attend, say, Brenda's LinkedIn Live, but you don't want people to know, there is no way for right now the privacy to say, I don't want everyone else to know. So you might have to catch her on the recording, unfortunately, and make a comment. And I'm only saying that because someone else was almost fired because their employer found out they were attending things and they really, were looking for work. They wanted out. So it's just a warning to others that this is stuff we find out when people point it out.
That is a great reminder. So part of stealth mode should be being aware of how LinkedIn uses information. So when we are active on LinkedIn, it does show up. And yeah, you can watch the replay without triggering anything. More questions? More success stories? Okay.
I want to jump in. Joan
Yes, Sue.
Smith, you're still on. I just want to acknowledge, for those who may not have seen it in the VIP group, that last week's profile reviews, Joan got feedback from people and implemented the changes immediately. And I just want to recognize the success of her taking advice, figuring out what works for her, because it was among and across several of us. So thank you, Joan, for taking advice, but also for being such a model here of how quickly the things we discussed today can move you along. I see Louis nodding. So I hope you don't mind, Joan, I brought that up on your behalf.
And see, that's a really great reminder. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming to get help, to get a review. So anytime there's a review offered, take it. It's like, hey, yeah. Now, and implement at your own pace. If you want to get everything done in a day, wonderful. If it takes you a couple of days to tackle these things one at a time, fine. Just get comfortable with the process, tackle it at your pace, and grow at your pace. But always, always try to grow and improve. And yeah,
I wanted to add, Brenda commented it based on what I said. So let me read it exactly what she said here, just a moment. What you can do when you go, say, to a LinkedIn Live is click the RSVP to get the link and then add it to your calendar. Then you can go back to the event and delete your RSVP and don't like or comment on the live when you watch it. Then nobody will know you are there. Brenda says.
well, then it is so. You know, I learned a lot just by showing up, and that's why I keep showing up. And you know, yeah, tons of workaround for LinkedIn and stealth mode. And what do you know? There's a link. Click on the link, learn more about LinkedIn and stealth mode, and hey, how you can take advantage of that. And in stealth mode, you may not want to like or comment, but you could send a direct message. I appreciate this article. The insight I got from it was this. Thanks, in stealth mode. Any other questions or comments as we wrap up? All right, so make sure that you have introduced yourself in the chat with your name, location, job title that you're looking for, and your LinkedIn URL. Make sure that you download the chat so you can save this and take the time to go through and apply what has been provided. And introduce yourself, make sure that you are connecting, make sure that connection is personalized. And thank you, Brenda, for, hey, letting me sit in the grown-ups table this week. I'm usually at the kids table, you know, because I'm a kid.
Oh, someone's asking how to download the chat. Need to, you want to give them that information?
Absolutely. So if you're looking at the chat window, the three dots on the right-hand side at the bottom will allow you to save the chat, and it will go into your downloads folder on your computer. This also applies for the transcript. If you like the way someone phrased something, if that sparked, it's like, oh, I could use that exact phrase, or that I could use that phrase or modify that phrase to fit how I speak, download the transcript. So thank you very much to Mindy and to Sue and to Lewis and to everyone who participated in this session. Again, you know, I learned by showing up. That's part of the reason I show up. The other part of the reason I show up is because this is fun. This is our team.
Brenda has one comment, and it's very important, and she always says it. So let me go back to what she just said so everyone can hear it. And a reminder, please, to tag her, Brenda Meller, in comments on any LinkedIn post about someone who has been laid off, and I'll invite them to our Friday VIP calls.
Absolutely. So yes, post on LinkedIn. Make a post today. If you learned something in this meeting, make a post, tag Brenda, tag someone you know is in job search. Direct message someone that is in stealth mode job search. Let them know about the services Brenda offers. Let them know about the VIP group. And let's expand the community and the connection.
Christopher, thank you on behalf of everyone for being the host with the most. Appreciate you all the time. And you do an awesome job in Brenda's absence.
Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate this group and this community. It's part of the Fun Friday.
Friday.
Friday. Absolutely. Well, be well, everyone. And hey, it's 11 o'clock.
Have a great
So,
weekend.
Safe travels,
happy
Brenda.
networking. Yes. Safe travels. Oh, and if you're not driving, that means you control the radio. All right. Take care, all.